On December 27th, 1831, a 22-year-old man embarked on the HMS Beagle for a 5-year voyage of discovery and innovative observations. This man, Charles Robert Darwin, embarked on his voyage, having already received a Bachelor of the Arts degree as an ambitious naturalist. He had traveled most of South America, studying the variations and similarities of plants and animals. On his return on October 1836, he worked with his colleagues to publish the zoology of the HMS Beagle in 1843. But it wasn't until the 24th of November in 1859 that Darwin had published his most renowned book, called The Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life, which is more widely known as The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection. In his book, he stated that organisms that adapt to the environment, survive, and obtain helpful variations and adaptations will live on. This concept is best known as the survival of the fittest. Darwin believed that all species rise from lower life forms that die or grow extinct due to their lack of survival. In 1871, he later added that mankind had also evolved from ape-like ancestors in his book called The Descent of Man. The public reacted in all different manners, rejecting and others accepting their ape-like ancestors. Those who rejected the idea of human evolution believed in creationism. Creationism states that mankind, according to the book of Genesis in the Bible, had originated as God's handmade divine creation. Darwin's theory of evolution created a conflict with creationism because his theory stated that man had evolved from ape-like ancestors. One of the first, most famous cases that displayed the conflict between creationism and evolution is the Scopes-Mugging trial in 1925. The governor of Tennessee, Austin Peay, passed the Butler Act, making it unlawful to teach evolution in the state of Tennessee. Consequently, a group of lawyers called the American Civil Liberties Union instructed a substitute biology teacher, John Scopes, to purposely teach evolution in order to bring the issue into court.
If any teacher was arrested in Tennessee for violating that statute, the Civil Liberties Union would come to the defense of that teacher, because such a restriction upon teaching in schools and colleges was a very serious violation of the freedoms that are guaranteed to all American citizens by our Constitution.
Therefore, John Scopes taught his class that the Bible was incorrect in its entirety and that mankind had evolved from monkeys. Scopes was then incarcerated and his trial was set for the 10th of July, 1925. As the day of the trial approached, people began to crowd Dayton, Tennessee. Banners promoting both evolution and creationism filled the streets, and the trial suddenly had the energetic atmosphere of a carnival, except it was excitement for the trial. As the case commenced, nearly 1,000 people jammed into the Rhea County Courthouse, with hundreds of more listening to the radio broadcast. Joining the prosecution team, William Jennings Bryan, a 3-time Democratic candidate for president and Christian, fought to defend the banishment of teaching evolution. On the other side, Clarence Darrow, a lawyer who hadn't practiced law in over 30 years, represented John Scopes for the right to teach evolution in classrooms. By the time the trial was coming to an end, Darrell had called Brian to the stand and asked him a series of questions concerning the Bible. Brian finally broke out saying that Darrell was attempting to slur the Bible, that he was using the court of Tennessee. But before Brian could finish his sentence, Darrell objected to his statement. As a result, the court adjourned and Brian was no longer allowed to give any further testimonies or speeches. On the final day, Scopes was found guilty and charged with $100. Scopes' final words of the trial were, "I will continue to oppose this law in any way I can, to teach the truth as guaranteed in our Constitution of personal and religious freedom." Darrell wanted the judge to return a verdict of guilty on John Scopes in order to appeal to the Tennessee Supreme Court, but the case was dismissed due to technicalities. The court's last comment on the case was that nothing is to be gained by prolonging the life of this bizarre case. Yet such bizarre cases continued in 1968 with the Epperson v. Arkansas and in the 1987 Edwards v. Aguilar case. In the Epperson v. Arkansas case, the Supreme Court of Arkansas ruled that the statute banning the teaching of evolution is unconstitutional, according to the Establishment Clause in the Constitution, which states that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Similarly, the Edward v. Aguilar case in 1987 ruled the Louisiana's Creationism Act as unconstitutional. The Creationism Act stated that if evolution was to be taught in school classrooms, then creation science also had the right to be taught alongside of it. Once again, the court found that the Creationism Act did not advance academic freedom and was in violation of the Establishment Clause. As of today, the controversy continues, and the right to teach evolution and creationism in schools is still being debated. On one side, evolution is seen as the foundation of modern biology and is believed to be the factor in producing successful engineers for the future.
Evolution is the basis of modern biology. And in fact, if a lot of people don't believe it, it only means we have to do a better job teaching it. So once again, I repeat, the purpose of education is not to validate ignorance, but to overcome it.
And I say to the grown-ups, if you want to deny evolution and live in your world that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe, that's fine. But don't make your kids do it, because we need them. We need people that can, we need engineers that can build stuff, solve problems.
Creationism gives people an answer as to where they originated. The Bible also is a basis for human morality. On the other hand, evolution has no Bible that distinguishes right and wrong. Instead, it is the individual who makes such moral distinctions.
Children should be exposed to both ideas concerning our past. Being a good scientist and a mom, I want my daughter to be educated about evolution so that she can see the inherent problems with it.
I tell you what is real abuse, and I tell you what is inappropriate for children. When you take generations of kids and you teach them they're just animals, there's no God, you're a result of millions of years of evolutionary processes. You just came from some slime over millions of years. Who determines right and wrong? You do. Who determines what's good and bad? You do.
As a nation of liberty, it is our responsibility to assure academic and religious freedom. Due to the Scopes monkey trial and other cases, our rights for freedom can be ensured constitutionally, neither imposing or banning any religion or doctrines on our young citizens of America.